welcome to Dynamite Delight, the show that's building more into full gear. This show felt like it was a good show because it was consequences. And I like consequences in a program of any company. Because if it's just having a match, it doesn't really mean anything. You need consequences sometimes. And here, we got consequences. And I like it. Opening of the show, I'm not going to talk about it much about Sammy Guevara and MJF. But it does go along with the town hall meeting. Finally got that right. I don't know why I kept botching town hall. Town. Don't know why. I know how to say town, but I don't know why I botched it. Anyway, it was a good opening segment showing Sammy Guevara just does not like MJF. He does not like him. I'm kind of hoping this is a prelude of MJF kind of easing Sammy Guevara away from the inner circle, going towards where Matt Hardy is. Because I do believe Matt Hardy working with Sammy Guevara in a face turn might actually be a bit interesting. I'm not saying it'll be perfect. I don't know if Sammy can actually pull off a face. But that would be something interesting I would like to see. I know everybody else would not. Now, Warlow versus Hangman Page. I gotta say this. Warlow is a freaking beast. He's a beast. His work in the ring speaks for itself. He is a monster. But unfortunately, this monster got slain. He had to set up the story that we're doing. But I say this clearly to many people who are enjoying the content of AEW. Guys, look. I don't mind smaller guys getting over on big guys sometimes. But let's be honest here. AEW is heavily orientated towards not only tag wrestling, which I don't have a problem with as long as they do it in the right context and the right amount. But they make it very clear that smaller guys will always, well, not always, but generally win out over big guys. And to be honest, I don't agree with that. There needs to be a balance between the good guys, small or large, more or not get their butts kicked by big guys or small guys. More or not. And we don't get that often. We're getting a lot more good guys getting their butts not handed to them. And majority of them are smaller wrestlers beating bigger wrestlers. And I don't 100% agree about it. Nothing wrong with smaller wrestlers. Look, I love Darby Allin. And he was in the stand watching the Cody and Orange Cassidy match. No problem. But I'm not saying that there's nothing wrong with a smaller wrestler, but you got to balance it out. And I don't believe AEW has that yet. I think they are very unbalanced right now. They need to work on that. Now, let's talk about the TNT title match. The rematch between Orange Cassidy and Cody. And it's a lumberjack match. Admittedly, I'm not fond of lumberjack matches, mostly due to the fact they're really played out. If they were done maybe once or twice a year on any promotion, that would mean something. But WWE always did it a lot. Impact Wrestling, before the pandemic, didn't do it often, but you know when they were in trouble, they always threw out a lumberjack match. And now AEW has one. I'm hoping that this will be the only one for the entire year. This is it. And they do it maybe once a year. Make it mean something, just once a year. That's how I feel about it. Now, seeing one move, and it's in my face, that Cody superplexed a Orange Cassidy off the top, is in my face again. Look, I'm not a big spot guy, but that one really got me to a certain extent because of how close it was to the guardrail. Because Orange Cassidy's two legs wiped out where the backs of his calves were off of those guardrails. And that worries me. It was a nice move. Don't get me wrong. It was a nice spot. But sometimes you don't always need a spot from absolutely everybody. Warlow going to the top turnbuckle and doing a helo. It's alright once in a while. But when you see him do, or any other guy do it all the time, there's got to be a balance. And I believe most of the match was pretty good. They didn't really do a lot of high flying. But that one particular superplex off the top turnbuckle onto the rest of the lumberjacks, I don't 100% agree about it. It may be a great spot, and I'm sure more than a few people are going to talk about that great spot. But to me personally, it's not always necessary, particularly that Orange Cassidy could have blown out the backs of his legs that way for a spot that really wasn't necessary in this match, particularly that Dark Order was there. They were messing with both Cody and a little bit of Orange Cassidy. They were messing with them both. But they really were messing with Cody. They want him to drop that title so bad. And then, Cody's still acting cocky. Eventually, Orange Cassidy was getting a break because Dark Order just wants that title off of Cody. And once they kept attacking Cody, you saw Art Anderson whack a Orange Cassidy in the face, which gave Cody the ruin. You see that after that was over, you see the brawl. It was understandable it had to be brawl. That's all right. I'm not having a problem with it. But you wonder where they're really going with Cody. Look, I would rather see Cody just turn flat out heel right now. I'm not saying they gotta rush it. For me personally, I would like to see him really begin to turn heel right now. That he's really showing the signs of turning heel. And not being more of a face. Sometimes showing cockiness that could be heelish. I'd rather just let them go straight with it. That's just me. You guys tell me below. You got the interview between FTR and the Bucks. They weren't in the same room together. And you got Excalibur doing the interview. The Bucks were the focus. It's obvious. FTR were taking offense to it and eventually they left. But the Bucks made a very strong declaration. They expected to get somewhere a year ago. They've gotten nowhere. They've gotten angry. And now because of FTR pissing them off and messing with their friends, they knew they were having a problem. They needed a spark. And FTR helped them make that spark. And they're not fond of what they become. That's what they say. But I think they actually are enjoying it to a certain extent. And we will see that. But here's the thing. They made it very clear by Full Gear, if they do not win those titles, just like Cody, they will not be challenging for the AEW tag titles ever again. They will resist doing it. They refuse. Now, this is one of the few consequences that I'm actually glad to see. That the Bucks are pretty much saying, if we don't win, we're not going after those titles. Now, of course, they could turn it around a year from now, and that will be fine. But at least they are giving us consequences that will give us something for Full Gear. Now, we had, now, who was it? It was, Matt Sydal versus Kingston. Now, Moxley did a good vid pack beforehand. I did like it. Him making it very clear that he's going to destroy Kingston, that this is personal. It's not something different from what we heard from Moxley. Then we had Kingston in the ring doing his segment, which was pretty good. And then we had when it comes to Matt Sydal, seeing that he has become more of a submission specialist than a high flyer. Not saying his high flying is gone, but he's now added submission into his work. It's a nice thing. The problem is, for me personally, because some things that were done in this show you did not even know happened, was simply due to the fact that they don't advertise ahead of time. Last week or this week, something interesting happening. I'm not saying that you can do it every single time, but I would like them to at least, for 3 minutes, little snippets throughout the show us something from Dark instead of just doing the advertisement in text or what happened on Dark. I just don't agree with it. You need to sponsor Dark. So knowing Matt Sydal become more of a submission specialist sounds nice, but I haven't seen it because I haven't seen Dark. Now, unless you give me a reason to watch Dark, ergo give me little snippets, then just text, I'm not going to care. Now, mind you, the match was good, and Sydal basically tapped out to Kingston. But then, after it was over, he forced him to say, I quit, making Matt Sydal Moxley. I have no problem with that. Using the bulldog choke as Moxley did was fine. Now the question is going to be, how far are they going to go with this before Full Gear? How much of Kingston is going to be apparent in his promos? Now I know he's been doing this, but still, you wonder, especially that's coming next week because they're doing face to face. Are they going to be showing this, or are they just going to do a brawl? This is what I'm talking about. I know not everybody wants to see a segment where they see Kingston talk to Moxley, and it just seems dragged out. But since both these guys can talk, they both know each other, I would rather see them talk. I want to see more of Kingston show his heart on his sleeve. That's what I want to see. Now, the town hall meeting, the second consequence we had in the show. It was funny seeing not funny seeing Luchasaurus. Luchasaurus is money. Luchasaurus is money. I'm saying it right now. He is freaking money. I just wish they would do something more with him. But he had a nice question for the town hall meeting. So did, what was the guy? Avalon. He's on, I believe he's working with the librarian. And then you had Eric Bischoff come out. Oh, he's in my face. I'm sure he's working with AEW, helping him through TNT, which is a great thing. And him working in the back, very rarely coming out, really does make it special whenever he does come out. As long as he's not in the forefront, it's good to see him. And him questioning MJF. Hey, MJF, I got 3 questions for you. Knowing that Chris is a prima donna, how are you going to deal with him? Knowing that you're prima donna, that both of them like to be bitches. They just want everything about them. How is he going to function? I don't know why I couldn't say prima donna. I'm saying prima donna. I don't know why I'm doing that. I should cut this out, but I'm not going to. I was going to say it's a botch. But when it comes down to it, was this a good segment? Yes, it was. You see Ortiz truly hate MJF. Seeing Sammy Guevara truly hate MJF, saying we don't want you there. Santana, he's on the fence. Hager is now going off to train for MMA. But we don't want you. We're done with you. We don't want you. But what made this good was Chris himself. He said it, look, when it comes down to it, how do I know you're not going to stab us in the back? He says, I'm not going to. He said, you know what? You are not the be-all, end-all. You know why? Because you haven't faced me. Me, you, Full Gear. If you beat me, you're in the inner circle. I will let you in, no questions asked, just straight. Good. But then what he said in Chris's face, if you're giving me this, I will do whatever it takes to win. And then he says, yeah, I know. He said, no. I will do whatever it takes to win. That makes you wonder, where's he going to go? How far is he going to go? Will Warlow be involved in it? If he isn't involved, who is going to pay the price if he doesn't get in? And more, how is he going to make it happen that he'll be doing anything he needs to get in? These are the type of stakes I like. This is the type of consequences I like. Now, we had a surprise. We had Sonya Deak go up against I can't remember the jobber's name. She looks like she's a great wrestler. The thing that gets me is that it wasn't because it was on Dark. And we didn't know because it happened yesterday on Dark. And she flew over to Daly's place to get into this match. It's this. Seeing her as NWA champion is not a bad thing. I actually think she's a good person. I would like to see her in AEW as a champion, but seeing her as an NWA champion and they're still showing the title on AEW is a great... Sorry about that. My battery died. I hate when you think you have enough time on your battery, but then dies. But what I was saying about Sonya Deak, I'm fine with her being like that. I would wish that they could have waited a little bit, but they made the decision and she now is NWA champion. But here's the thing that gets me. Now that Thunder Rosa is no longer champion, does this mean that she might be contracted to AEW now? Or is working on a contract? Maybe Billy Corgan has made an agreement with Tony Khan saying, look, we're going to let you take Sonya Deak and let her have the title. In exchange, let us have Thunder Rosa. And not only will let you keep Sonya Deak, you can let her be on a show all you want. That's what I think might have happened here, because a lot of people like Thunder Rosa. A lot of people think that she has great potential to help the women's division. Now, the match itself is actually quite good. I did enjoy it. Since this is the first time we're now seeing Sonya Deak, I really wish this could have happened a week before, and that we had a chance to at least get to feel her out as now the NWA champion, just like Shida. But they don't really do that with the women. Now, Shida was getting an interview, and Shida was asked about Nia Rose because she said she won't wrestle until the title's up for grabs, and she said, fine, you and me, full gear for the title. I'm fine with that. But here's the thing that keeps getting me and keeps getting me back, where it comes to NWA does it better, and when it was running, Impact Wrestling does it better, even though they have no fans, and WWE NXT does it better than AEW. At least they do video packages with their women on and off. At least, like with NWA as well as Impact Wrestling, they make sure they give these women some video time. And I just don't see it. Yes, Sonya Deak did get a small video package before she did wrestle, and I'm fine with that. But I just wish they do it more often. Like I said, Dark has a major flaw, and they just don't show little snippets. I know it's tight on Dynamite, but you can't tell me you can't give 10 seconds. 10 seconds while a match is going on. Come on. That's just me. Now, a final... Oh, wait. Spears versus VSK. And I'm sure I'm missing someone else, but I'll say this. It's good to see Spears, but also see that he destroyed this guy within a few seconds with... Damn. That is something. They really want to do something, I hope, with him. And I hope they do. I'm hoping they are going to make the Horsemen reborn. They need to do something with it. They need to do something with FTR, Spears, and one other person. Either Hangman Page or Kenny Omega or Cody. I don't care who. They just need to bring them back, similar to the Horsemen, to give us something new, something substantial that's more better than WWE. Finally, the match of the night. Kenny versus Pentagon Jr. Now, what we worried about last week when Pentagon went up against Rey Fenix, that incident with Rey Fenix where he looked like he got messed up. It looks like it was valid because Rey Fenix is hurt. So he had to give up his position. He could not wrestle, but he was at ringside. Then we saw the cleaner with his Kleenex dancing around. And I think I got a picture of them in my face. When it comes down to it, guys, this was the best match of the night because of what it meant. A consequence. Two guys, a Hangman Page and Kenny Omega, who were partners, where one was having an issue where he felt like he just needed to find himself. And he was drinking too much, and he was acting out, and his partner's basically trying to cover for him and try to beat it for him, but he's noticing he can't stand it. This is ridiculous. And eventually they lose the titles and they break up, where one still would like to be partners with the other one, and the other one doesn't want it. And now, finally, these two are brought together in a tournament. Now, I know this was telegraphed. Everyone knew this was going to be telegraphed. But it does not take away the fact that it could still be a great match and a great story between the two. Between Kenny Omega and Hangman Adam Page. The match between Pentagon Jr. and Kenny Omega was actually a very good match. Admittedly, by the end of the match, Kenny just decided not to sell anymore. When he got his arm snapped, he just decided not to sell anymore and did the one-winged angel. I do believe he should never did that. If you get your arm snapped by Pentagon Jr., you should not be able to do your signature move with the guy on your shoulders and you stretching up to try and grab him. Yes, you play afterward, but I think it was not right. There's nothing wrong with a high flyer or impactful wrestler doing their moves as long as they do it right. And he just didn't do it right for me personally. It doesn't mean it takes away from the match completely. It was a good match. And now we have more stuff for Full Gear. More content for Full Gear. Next to Bound for Glory, I'm interested in this. Compared to when I was looking at Hell in a Cell, I didn't even care. I wanted to see what's going on with Jey Uso and his cousin Roman Reigns. I wanted to see what's going on with Sasha and Bayley, but that was it. And I had no interest in the entire pay-per-view at all. I was interested in seeing how Bound for Glory was going to go. And they did a good show. Wasn't perfect, but it was good. And now I'm curious as hell to see how Full Gear is going to go. I'm very curious. But this is just me. Have a good day. Have a good night. Peace!